It was yet again another successful trading week for myself and for the members in our Discord group. With that being said, let's get right into this week's Forex forecast. Starting the forecast off with the US dollar index, the DXY here, we had a nice 1 hour trend line. That trend line was removed by this area of supply at 119. The reason I think this supply will be removed, I will talk about here in a second, but I do think we could see a small move off this zone, and I think we will end up breaking it for two reasons. Reason number one, if you go to the daily time frame, we do have a daily demand and control, and also we have macro demand and control on the weekly time frame. So a lot of higher time frame demand and control. And one time frame higher, which is the H4 chart, you can see we have a very nice 4 hour trend line that is still currently being respected here. And if we throw a channel tool on this, you can see we got very overextended here. But now we are back below the 50% mark, above the upper trend line. It's a great time to be looking for buys in the US dollar, in my opinion, especially with the fact that we have macro demand in control. So really, as long as this 4 hour trend line is holding, we are expecting the dollar to go up. And even if the trend line breaks, we have to be mindful of fake outs. And I think we will continue to see higher prices on the DXY. All right, moving on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. So we pulled back right into our daily demand zone. Beautiful move off of our daily demand zone as expected here on the Euro. Called out before on my weekly forecast. So if that's not a reason to hit that subscribe button, guys, I don't know what is. Go back and confirm on my older forecast. I've had this zone the entire time, and we pretty much picked the exact bottom here on the Euro. Looks like we could be retracing back up, and what I think we could be doing for trading, really two options. So you can see we have this 4 hour trend line. It is drawn from here to here. That trend line is currently being respected, and as long as this trend line is being respected, you could justify looking for shorts on a 15-minute time frame. If we do break above the trend line, let's say we pull back here, break above the trend line, we basically want to hold off on shorts from above the trend line to this supply, and then continue to look for shorts at that 4 hour supply zone at 116. I like the basing. I like the initial move away and then the continued move away. It's a very good zone, almost a 10 out of 10 zone. So that's where we could be looking for shorts for swing trading. And then you could also be looking for day trading shorts in there using confirmation if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit above. So nice trend line for day trading shorts and a nice 4 hour supply zone for a swing trade short to the downside. All right, moving on to the forecast for gold. Something significant has taken place as we clearly broke this very obvious low on the weekly chart. So definitely a bearish sign on gold. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As far as gold goes, we actually have quite a few trading options. One thing to consider is that on the daily time frame here, we have a daily downward trend line now. So that's definitely a bearish sign. As far as trading gold goes now, if you are bullish on gold, we have a pretty good 1 hour demand at 40.88. Look at the move away here. Very, very good. So if you're bullish on gold, that is our demand zone for a potential long trade. Again, if you are bullish on gold, I'd be somewhat aggressive with trade management considering the fact that it is counter trend to the daily time frame. So that's the only long setup I'm seeing on gold at this time. As far as short trading goes, we have two pretty good 4 hour supply zones, one at 43.26 and the other at 44.45. So if you are bearish on gold, this is our initial supply zone for a short trade. I think we will see a bigger move off of the zone above, just based off the fact that it's a better price for shorting. So if you're going to short at this first supply zone, I'd be somewhat aggressive with trade management because I think the bigger move is going to happen off of the 4 hour supply zone above. For another reason as well, is because that supply zone above there is actually embedded inside of this new updated daily supply that I just drew the other day at 44.31. So those are our options, and if you want to look for confirmation, that's our daily supply to look for H1 confirmation trades to the downside, which we will be doing as a group in my Discord group. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework and it's an interactive 1 hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions. And finally, the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately. Absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. All right, moving on to the forecast for the S&P 500, throwing a channel tool on this weekly trend. I've been talking about how, we could see a push up to the upper end of that channel, but since we were sitting above the 50% mark, seeing a pullback wouldn't really be too surprising. But these markets always seem to go up here. So the big question now is, have we based out here? And I mean, we had a nice 1 hour downward trend line. That 1 hour downward trend line was removed by this area of demand at 72.97. So if you think that that trend has officially changed and we will be continuing to go up and following the weekly trend, this is our demand zone for a pullback entry long. The move away, very good, very explosive. The basing's pretty nice as well. So that's our pullback entry for a long trade. As far as the 4 hour time frame goes, it is a little different. We are pretty overextended here on the 4 hour chart. We have a trend line that's basically irrelevant. I'm actually going to just get rid of it now. It's pretty much irrelevant. We do have a supply zone above. This supply zone was responsible for removing this demand zone trade that we actually caught in a couple weeks ago. You can go back and confirm that by watching my Forex forecast from 2 weeks ago. That supply zone was formed by breaking our demand. So if you are bearish, that's our supply zone at 75.39 for a short trade. I will be honest with you. I think we will see a small move off of it, but ultimately I think it will break. So if you are going to short from the zone, aggressive trade management is definitely due. Do not get greedy with a short trade against a weekly trend on a 4 hour chart. It's just common sense. So you want to look for a quick aggressive trade here. And ultimately, if we end up removing the supply, any demand there is actually our preferred setup to the long side. So a couple of nice potential trades options here on the S&P 500. Moving on to the forecast for the USDJPY, our weekly trend line is drawn from here to here. This is simply a reaction off of our weekly trend line. So it's good to always make sure we are drawing properly drawn trend lines. We are so close to the all-time high. That's where I think we will most likely be headed here on the USDJPY. We contacted this 4 hour supply zone. This is a pretty old zone, very obvious zone. Not one I was super interested in trading in, and we already kind of got moves off of it. So I was telling the members, if you were short from the zone, got a nice move, your stop should at least be at break even. So this should have been probably a break even trade. At this point, the USD yen has been so bad to trade. However, we had a 1 hour trend line. That 1 hour trend line was removed by this area of 1 hour supply at 160.46. We also are creating some sort of liquidity trap right before the zone. So this supply is actually not too bad. Again, it is counter trend to the weekly, so I do think that this supply will be removed. However, since we kind of have a liquidity trap here, there may be some stop losses right before our supply. So I think we could see maybe a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1 move off this supply before we end up breaking it. So there is definitely some money to be made here. Ultimately, the best decision we can do is wait for this supply to be removed, and any demand that removes it, that's going to be our preferred trading setup here. So all going to revolve around this 1 hour supply on the USDJPY. All right, moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD. This has been a really tricky one to trade. I've been telling the members not a lot of whole setups, good setups rather, here on the pound. We have a high and a low here. We failed to break either of those, and we're kind of just going sideways. We are chugging along sideways. We really have no clear direction on the pound. And on the 4 hour chart, the overall trend is down, but the momentum has definitely picked up here. So it is certainly a little bit tricky right now on the pound. I didn't have this zone until basically a couple of minutes ago when I was looking at this chart again, but I did notice that we actually had barely a trend line here, which is valid in my opinion, but barely, and that was removed by this area of demand on the 1 hour chart at 1.33. So to keep it very simple here on the pound, we have a 1 hour demand zone. That's our demand zone for a long trade if you are bullish on the British pound. As far as trade management goes, I don't think it's a good idea to get in long here, stop loss, and just wait for your take profit to be hit all the way up here. I think active trade management off of this demand is definitely preferred because we have no clear direction on the higher time frame. So aggressive trade management definitely needed here. And if you are a day trader and you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit, you could wait for the zone to be hit and look for 5-minute confirmation when we contact this 1 hour area of demand on the GBPUSD. All right, moving on to the forecast for the USDCAD, the country that I am from. Let me know in the comments down below where you guys are from and where you're currently living. I always like to see where you guys are from. We just contacted this weekly supply. As I expected, we got a small move off this zone. The initial weekly supply pushed up to the better supply above. I still think we will be removing the zone. I definitely don't think we're going to see a massive move like this off of this supply. So I think we could see maybe a small move. Ultimately, I think we could be breaking it to the upside. So as far as longs go, I'm really not too concerned about this weekly supply. It does make me a little bit nervous looking for longs, but if you guys have been following my forecast, you guys know we caught this beautiful long setup here from last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, off of that demand zone. I know a few of the members got involved in that trading setup as well. So that's why I'm just pointing out that the long setups didn't really bother me there, especially near that weekly supply. As far as trading it goes now, we have a 4-hour trend line here. I'll zoom out so you guys can see where the trend line is drawn. We are pretty overextended though. If we take a look, let me throw the channel tool on it. You can see that we actually peaked above the channel, and we are still above the 50% mark. So as far as getting in long, we want to wait for below the 50% mark, and then we could look for longs on a 15-minute time frame. That is kind of the preferred situation. And then if you want to be a swing trader here, that's fine. That's what I am as well. Already got the move off that zone. That trade has already taken place. We were in and out. The issue with this demand zone is it was created from a previous area of demand. Nonetheless, it is a pretty good zone. A lot of the times when we get wicks like this, it really just points at where the demand is. So that is our demand zone for a pullback at 1.389 on the USDCAD if you are a swing trader. Moving on to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar weekly trend line. Currently breaking. It is not broken yet. We have to wait another week to see if we can get another close here. Like I've been saying, I think we could be targeting this liquidity here, pulling back down the weekly demand, and then seeing the bigger move off of the weekly demand down below. But this is definitely a bearish sign. It's just not completely broken yet on the Aussie. And on the daily chart here, we really have not much going on. There's really no trends. As far as trading it goes now, we caught a beautiful, this was a very old demand zone created back in April. Single candle rally base rally here with a liquidity trap right before the zone, and we caught that trade in and out very, very quickly here. Obviously, I did give up some profit, but that's completely fine. I didn't want to get greedy with a trade like this, especially since the daily chart's pretty sideways here. So it wasn't an in and out trade for me. I did give up some profit, but that's completely fine. That's all part of trading psychology, is understanding this was, to me, was the move to make. I kind of got nervous about looking for a larger risk to reward trade. That's all about trading psychology. If you need help with your trading psychology, check out the podcast, Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast. I haven't really done an episode in a while lately, but there's tons of episodes on there to help you with situations like this where you give up profit. Understand that that's completely fine and part of the game. So as far as trading the Aussie US dollar goes now, if we do get a pullback up to this supply, it's a pretty good zone. I think we could see a move to the downside off of that zone. Obviously, yes, it will suck if I gave up that much profit, but I'm fine with it. That's our supply zone for a short trade. If you are bearish on the Aussie US dollar, and if you are bullish, very, very simple looking chart right now. We had a 1 hour downward trend line. That 1 hour downward trend line was removed by this area of demand on the 1 hour chart at 0.69. That is our pullback entry for a long trade on the Aussie US dollar. Moving on to the forecast for the USD Swiss, there's really not much going on in the daily. We are very, very sideways. On the weekly, we are in a weekly supply, but it's been very deeply tested, so it's pretty much irrelevant for me at this point. As far as trading it goes now on the USD Swiss, we have basically two options. We had a 1 hour trend line that was removed by this 1 hour supply at 0.80. Again, since we are bullish on the dollar, if you are going to get a trade off of this zone, you can. It's just got to be aggressive trade management. Don't get greedy with this trade. Look to put your stop to break even. Take profit at 1-to-1. Take 80% off of your trade at 1-to-1, because I think we will see a small move off the zone before we end up breaking it. So again, there is a little bit of money to be made here, and that's what separates the pros from the beginner traders. So that's what I'd be doing if you are bearish. If you are bullish on the USD Swiss, very, very simple looking chart here. We have a 4-hour trend line. Our trend line is drawn from here to here. This is a reaction off of our properly drawn 4-hour trend line. When I say properly, I do mean properly. There are rules to this trend line I'm not going to get into now, but this ain't no Tory Trades trend lines here or whatever. Yeah, shots fired. I don't care. Sorry. Anyways, this is our 4-hour trend line to the upside. As long as that's holding, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. And look, I think we could actually break the trend line. That'll be fine. And then what we're going to do is hold off on longs here to here, wait for this 4-hour demand to be hit, then we can hop on longs again at 0.78 at this nice drop base rally area of demand on the 4-hour chart on the USD Swiss. Moving on to the forecast for crude oil, absolutely nothing to go off of on the weekly or on the daily, just sideways, absolute junk. As far as trading oil goes now, we have a 4-hour trend line right here. As long as this 4-hour, actually, I got to update it. That is my bad. So I will do a live trend line update here. This is our updated trend line. As long as this 4-hour trend line is being respected, you could be looking for day trading shorts on a 15-minute time frame. Channel tool will probably show we are pretty overextended here, which we are. So I'd wait for above the 50% mark, below the downward trend line rather. Anywhere in this area is going to be preferred for looking for 15-minute time frame short trades. As far as the 1-hour chart goes, we caught this beautiful 1-hour supply zone trade here. Picture perfect. The basing was clean. The move away was fantastic. Called out before it took place in the daily market breakdown video for the Diamond members. And if that's not a reason to hit that subscribe button, I really don't know what is. Some of the members caught beautiful trades off this zone as well. So very, very happy for them. As far as trading it goes now, we have a 1-hour trend line. As long as that's holding, you could look for 5-minute time frame shorts. We do have a new 1-hour supply zone above at 91.56. That will be our 1-hour supply zone for a swing trade to the downside. But like I've been saying to the members and even to you guys here on YouTube, on a market like oil right now with what's going on in the Middle East, we want to definitely be aggressive with trade management. Do not get greedy. Even on this oil trade, I unfortunately did not catch this entire move, but I am happy with the way that I managed the trade based off of current market conditions. Moving on to the Bitcoin forecast here, we have a weekly downward trend line. However, we are in monthly demand, but we are so close to breaking that demand zone. Definitely not looking too bullish here on Bitcoin. We are very overextended, so it wouldn't surprise me to see just a dead cat bounce here, recovery up to this daily supply at 71,314. I definitely think we will see somewhat of a move off of that area of supply, just like off of our daily supply over here. You can go back, confirm on my older forecasts that I had this supply zone on my chart. What a move off of that supply. So I think, again, we could see a recovery just based on the fact that we're so overextended to this daily supply where we can then trade to the downside. As far as trading it goes now, really not much on the 4-hour chart. On the 1-hour time frame, we have a 1-hour trend line here. Very overextended though. So if you want to get in long on Bitcoin right now, wait for we till we become closer to this upper trend line rather. Then we could look for day trading longs on a 5-minute chart. But as far as zones go on Bitcoin, I'm just not really seeing a whole lot right now, guys. It's just and that's what I try to tell everybody as well. When we get such aggressive moves to the downside, it's very difficult to trade after that because not a lot of zones are forming and not a lot of trends are forming. And even this upper trend line on the 1-hour chart is really not that great. So as far as Bitcoin goes, we got to maybe just be a little bit patient here and maybe look for other trading opportunities. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.